When I first started doing this, I noticed that there were a lot of widows that I was talking to. And I kind of just chalked that up in my mind. And then when I ran into the first widower, and he said, my gosh, it's been 12 months since my wife died, and I have been inundated in the mail, in the computer. He said, I just can't believe all the phone calls I'm getting from these scammers. And I thought, bingo, it's widows and widowers. Now, where are they getting that information? They're getting that information out of obituaries. Think of all the information that's in obituaries. Your kids, where you were born, where you were raised, what you did for a profession, all of your kids, your grandkids, and they can look those grandkids up on Facebook, and then they have a lot of information to come at you with. You know, it's just interesting. And they're sitting in the old Soviet Union, reading Green Valley News online, and that's where they're getting this information. And then I thought, well, you know, when my father died, my mother didn't get these calls, and she doesn't live in a retirement town. This is a retirement town. We're not living in mud huts. They know that. They specifically target our area code and our zip code. So we especially have to be alert. These are the 3 action items that I'm leaving with you today. Please, hang it up. It's not in our nature to hang up. If you have to practice, practice hanging up. I received a phone call from a lady, and she said, they call at 6 o'clock in the morning. They always call at 6 o'clock in the morning. They keep calling and they keep calling and they keep calling. I said, well, maybe you should think about just getting a whistle and blowing it in their ear. And do you know, the next time she called me, she said, well, I told my son that. And he said, oh, you can't do that. What if you break his eardrums and he sues us? And I thought, good, we know who he is, you know? But all these, maybe you've been receiving these medical alert device calls, or on the computer, or in the mail. They're coming by all 3 methods. And be really careful with those, because if you click here, you know, they're going to ask you, well, you've got this free prepaid medical alert device. In 1 week, it went from alert device to medical device, which medical device covers a whole lot more people than just a medical alert device. So these guys know what's going on in this community, and they just keep changing. But the thing to do is just hang it up. Don't call them back, and delete it. I can tell you, a man talked to me one day. He opened his computer and it was frozen. And there was it was an FBI notice from the FBI, and it looked so legitimate. And his photo was right there next to it. Now that would freak you out, because his photo with the FBI, holy Toledo. And what it said is that we have detected that you have been on illegal child pornography websites. Now he was just so embarrassed. And you know, he was embarrassed to tell me. But what it says is that if you call this number, if there's any mistake, then you call this number, and we will straighten it out, and we will unthaw your computer. So he called that number. Oh yeah, it was just a mistake. Okay, for $350, if you'll give us your credit card, we will unfreeze your computer. No, they don't. There's a virus in there, and it's such a bad virus that you really have to take it to a computer guy with special equipment to get it out of there. And I didn't know it, but when these viruses get into your computer, if you have a later model computer that has the camera right in the middle, if that virus is in there, they can take a photo of you while you are there on your computer. And that's how they got the photo of him. So I went right home and got my a Band-Aid, and I put the gauze part right over that camera, so nobody's going to take a photo of me. So that's a good thing to be aware of. Remember, you have to enter a lottery to win. A lot of people will say, you'll get information that said, well, if you shop at Walmart, or if you shop at Target or Safeway, you're automatically entered. That's a lie. Don't go for it. Don't believe it. It's a lie. And you never, ever, ever pay up front taxes, anything. They take it all out. Now, one of the most interesting ones I had is a lady was telling me she'd already lost about $15,000. But she had kept all the letters, how it started, and over a 2-month period, it started in the mail. And she got a letter that said, oh, she's a spiritual advisor. This lady is a spiritual advisor. And fill out this blank and mail it back. And she did. And then she started getting more contact with this lady. And then the lady said, well, you know, she's a spiritual advisor. But what really happened is she said, well, you know, if the sun comes up in the east and goes down in the west on this certain day, you may be at your lucky day to win the lottery. And then the guy from the lottery called and said she'd won $2 million. And then she had to pay $20,000 up front for this tax, and then $6,500 for this. I mean, we've had people lose a lot of money on these lottery scams. And, you know, I'd love to win the lottery, but I know probably not going to happen. But remember, these guys become your very best friends, and that's why it's really important for us to take care of each other, and especially single people that might be lonely, that might just want to talk to somebody. They will give information out that is dangerous. So this is what we're here for. You've probably all gotten these if you have a computer that your friend is in the Philippines on vacation and somebody stole their passport and they need some money, so please send them $1,300. Somebody has stolen their email. And if you click here for information, it's called clickjack. You know, carjack, hijack, this is clickjack. And that means that the virus is in your computer. And it can be just in there waiting for you, right for the opportune time. And I can tell you, we had a lady come in the office and she said, oh, her cell phone had broken. And she'd let it go for about 4 days. And then she decided she was going to go get a new cell phone. And as she was walking out the house, the telephone rang. And it was her stockbroker. And he said, well, I have that $15,000 transaction ready for you. She said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, you've been contacting me on the email because you told me you were out of town to call you on your cell phone. And he said, I've been calling you on your cell phone. I've left several messages, but you never answered. So, you know, I'm just taking a shot that maybe you'd be home. And she had no idea what was going on. So thank heaven she answered that telephone or she'd have been out $15,000. So she had a virus in her computer, just sitting, waiting for the opportune time. That virus person, criminal, knew her cell phone was down, so she probably sent an email to some of her friends. They knew her stockbroker's name, they knew the company's name. They knew a lot about her. So it's really important to keep those computers in order without those viruses in it. We had a retired military lady, 56 years old, just moved to Green Valley about 6 months before this. And she said, I was in the military on alert since 9/11 for all those years. Every day we went to work, we were on high alert. And she said, when I retired and moved to Green Valley, I thought, you know, this is a snap. Well, she got a call from Microsoft. Microsoft said, we have detected viruses in your computer. And she said, oh, okay. Now, she's a computer geek. And she went through the programs. Yeah, they were there. They knew what they were talking about. And then they said, now, if you would like us to clean out the viruses in your email, just open up your email. And she did. And she did. And then they got her bank account. They got her credit union account, credit card account. It was really a mess. And it cost her about $1,000 to clean it all up and get the virus out of her computer. And she said, you know, I just can't believe I did that. Because, you know, all her career she was on alert. And she said, I guess now in Green Valley, I just have to be on a different kind of alert. Which is what we're trying to do here, is just to get you thinking before you get. And remember that Microsoft, these big guys, they do not solicit your business. You know, Hewlett Packard, Best Buy, CenturyLink, they do not solicit your business. You call them. And that's how that works. Sorry about the IRS not sending you a refund. I'll get right with your question. But when you shred, we're really pretty good in this country about shredding. You know, and especially your medical records that might have your social security number on it, any of your bank card that has numbers on it. These guys are looking for numbers. And so we're really good about shredding. Keep it up. That's what I could say. I want you to know that if you have been victimized, 20% of people over 65 have lost money to these scams. Now that's a huge percentage. And that's only the people that are reported. So many people don't even report that they've lost $200 or $300. They're embarrassed, there's ashamed, and there's really, you know, please, it's not a sign of your intelligence. They get after your emotions. You know, I've got a timeshare I'd like to sell too, but I'm not going to pay them $5,000 to sell it. So hundreds of thousands of dollars leave this community every year. And these guys have these criminals have mathematical equations that they use on which scams work best, what time to call, when to call, who, you know, which sex to go with which scam. So this is a business for them. And their mathematical equations are working. But what we're doing here, and I really think it's working, is if we can get people to just hang up and delete, that our percentage of the money leaving this community is going to go down. And that's what we want, is we want that money going down. And maybe these scammers might go to Sun City or someplace else. I don't care. Just get out of here. You know, leave us alone. So that's why we're out here doing this work. I want you to know these people are relentless. They will not give up on you. One of the first cases I was called on to do was I had to call a lady and get her date of birth because somebody had taken a report, and if we don't have a date of birth on it, then it won't go through the Pima County Sheriff's data system. So I had to call her and get her date of birth. And then she told me the story. She said, well, 3 months ago, her grandson called her and said, Grandma, I was going to Canada and I picked up these 2 hitchhikers. And they put their backpacks in the back seat. And he said, when we went across the borders, oh, the Border Patrol found marijuana in the 2 backpacks. And he said, it's not my fault, it's not mine. Please don't call my mother, she'll just kill me. Please don't tell anybody. But I need $2,500 and I need it right now so that I can get out of this mess or they're going to throw me in jail. Well, she went right down and she did it. She did exactly what, she got $2,500 from the bank, went to Walgreens and bought a green dot card, prepaid credit card. Are you familiar with those? You load it up with $2,500 and then they call you on the telephone and they say, will you scratch the number off there? You read them that number and then they've got $2,500. So that's how they're working it now. So if anybody says, oh, a green dot card, watch out, be aware of that. So what happened is about 3 months later, she got a call and it was from John. And he said, remember in high school when you and 9 other girls, and you were best friends back then, and you made a pact that if anything happened to any of you, you would be there for each other. And he said, well, Janet is in trouble and she needs your help. This lady just hung right up on him because she knew it was a scam. But this is what they do. If you fall for one scam, if you give them any kind of information, they can sell that. And they sell your name, especially if they've gotten money out of you. It's called a suckers list. And they will sell your name, and they'll sell it to another group that will come at you with another scam. It might be a week later, it might be a month later, it might be 3 months or a year later. But they'll come at you again because they know you're vulnerable. Now, I want to tell you how widespread this is. My mother and I were on a trip in the Sinai Peninsula of Egypt, in this little teeny bitty, just desert town. And I was walking down the resort hallway one day, and there was a jewelry store there. And he said, come on in. And I said, no, I can't buy any jewelry. And he said, no, we'll just have a cup of tea and we'll talk. And I thought, well, maybe he wants to just speak English. So I went in and sat down and we were talking, and his phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And I said, my gosh, you are a popular guy. And he said, well, it's this guy from Nigeria. And he's inherited this land, and he just needs $3,500, and in return to pay the taxes, and in return he'll give me $350,000. my gosh, I got in my wallet. I had my SAV business card, has a badge on it, and I pulled that out and I looked right at him and said, I'm the sheriff and don't you dare do that. And then his eyes got this big and he said, you're the sheriff? And I said, yeah, I'm the sheriff. And he came so close. He already had downloaded the UK Bank of London papers to open an account to give this guy $3,500. So it's all over the world. They're not going to go away. I don't want you to leave here in fear, be afraid to answer the telephone. It's your phone. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, and you can hang up on them. You don't have to be nice. And we're counting on you to be that ripple effect of awareness out in the community of Green Valley, because I do believe this is working, and I'm really proud of our citizens. I'm really proud of what you're doing, because this is how we can protect you. So I'm making you all honorary members of the Scam Squad. So go out and spread the word. And thank you very much. Now,